Hey, what's up, y'all? It's D about to react to this vid by Omizi. It's titled Nina Lynn is allergic to accountability. Her again. What is going on? Okay, let's see what has happened with her now. Let's watch.
Last October, there was a lot of instances that happened with our group member, Nina.
Yo, you might be fucking retarded, bro. Are you good in the head? Take it off. Hey, yo, cut the cameras. Yo, cut the cameras, bro. Don't do your shit.
You know, one of the things that made it hard for us to continue as a group was that it always had to be her way. And it would always be, well, I'm gonna do me. Time and time again, like, hey, you know, we are trying to hold what we thought was a friend accountable, and that friend says we're not being friends because we're trying to hold them accountable.
Well, I'll be. I darn near forgot about Nina Lynn, but it seems as though the rain is continuing to pour on her. Just a year ago, she seemed to have one of the most bubbling and bright careers in the new streaming era. Collaborations with Agent, appearances on Streaming University, connections with the Phase guys, and she had a consistent group channel, 03, that was actually doing very, very well with some very, very prominent members. But within a year, all of that went away, and it was due to one thing and one thing only: her inability to hold herself accountable for her actions, apologize, do the work, and ultimately move on. So when her group decided to put out a video talking about how they decided to part ways from her, I thought it would be a perfect time to teach the lesson that you cannot escape your digital footprint. And at the end of the day, accountability trumps all. If you're new to this channel, please hit that subscribe button. I'm gonna hold you guys accountable. You're consuming content from me. The least you can do is click that little subscribe button down below. It will go a long, long way for this community. Now, back into the video. Like I said, Nina Lynn had a sweet deal. Most content creators have to come up by themselves, build their own audience, build their own brand. And not taking it away from her, she did that in her own regards. But she quickly was able to team up with two very solid YouTubers, Jimmy Zhang, who has 1 million subscribers, and Edward So, who basically has 1 million subscribers, in order to create a group channel called 03. They would do IRL lifestyle content, dating style challenges, you know, the typical 20v1 AMP-esque videos. And this, coupled along with her appearances with people like Fan or Wendy Ortiz, meant that Nina Lynn pretty much had a fast track to being one of the biggest names in not just streaming, but content creation as a whole. I think one very underrated thing about Nina is her background. I'm talking about her ethnicity, nationality, and her race. She was going to be somebody who was going to be able to resonate with a whole Eastern culture that those in the United States could not do. In fact, she...
Was she? Because I don't think a lot of them relate to her and how she acts. So what are we talking about? Just because they're the same race? Just because they're black, that doesn't mean I'm relating to every single black person, especially if they act an ass. Like, you know, so I don't think that's enough to be the same race as someone. Not in today's age.
Acted as some sort of medium / translator for content creators in the past because they needed her to basically gain access to that whole culture that has billions of people in it. But instead of nurturing this opportunity that she had, Nina ultimately squandered it. Over the past year, Nina Lynn has been in controversy after controversy after controversy after controversy. And I'm not going to go into super depth about it. I've made plenty of videos, whether it be her just being a general nuisance at a nail salon, her in this kleptomania that she just has in her body, and definitely the Saeed situation where she not only participated in the essay, but also then went on to deny the essay over and over and over and over and over again. Now, off top, controversy isn't something that is like career ending. We've seen different content creators go through many a different controversies, some that I would say are way worse than what Nina even went through, but have ultimately bounced back from those things. They've then gone on to have bigger, better, greater careers than even before they were in said controversy. But if I had to say the one thing that would define if you are going to bounce back and then bounce up out of this atmosphere, or bounce up and then bounce down through the floor when it comes to being a controversial figure, is one thing and one thing alone. And that's accountability for your actions.
Nina, you somebody, Nina, you shoplifted. Can we tone it down? All that, just like in one ear out the other. Hey, maybe it's not okay to do that to a mom who's out in the salon or whatever. Maybe it's not okay to do that at Target. Maybe it's not okay to do that to a taxi driver. And there's a lot of things that weren't okay, and it would always be a lot to do with me. Time and time again, like, hey, we are trying to hold what we thought was a friend accountable, and that friend says we're not being friends because we're trying to hold them accountable.
Neither brown nor white sugar was involved in this coding because they kept it pretty straightforward. Nina Lynn is somebody that we don't have the same values, morals, and principles at, and therefore we are going to go ahead and sever ties with her. According to the two other members of the group 03, Nina Lynn constantly wanted to do things her way, was the loudest one in every single argument. She struggled to see other people's perspectives.
And that's interesting because he's saying like, oh, she could, bridge that gap and relate to a lot of people in Asia. No. the people in Asia who are in America can't even relate to her. You think people in Asia who live there can relate to her? Their whole culture is to be, chill, calm. She's the complete opposite of that. Like, who relating to her over there?
And they could not come to an agreement on what they stood for. In other words, it wasn't just one mistake, but it was the problem as to how she handled every single mistake. Shameless plug, and I'm gonna sound like a broken record every single time I say this, but some people don't know that I did these things in my past, and also I like to give my real world experience as to how things go on behind the scenes. But I did work for a big group, one of the biggest groups on the internet right now. I'll give you a little bit of secret. It's 3 letters. It features 6 guys.
But we know, get to the point.
And I also have a current podcast, which is essentially a group channel as well, where I have 2 other co-hosts. And I'm here to tell you that the behind the scenes things that 03 said that they struggled with Nina Lynn are things that happen in every single group. There's constantly going to be bickering. There's going to be people who are super creative trying to come to one conclusion, and somebody's going to be very loud in the conversation as to why their POV is the better way to go in this particular time. And as far as vision goes, hell, life changes those things. So oftentimes people aren't aligned as to what they're going to do in the next year, 2 years, or hell, 6 months even. But at the end of the day, the reason why AMP is still around, my podcast, the Let's Keep It a Buck podcast is still around, the Sidemen are still around, or any other group content is still around is because accountability and compromise are something that continuously happen in those organizations. And I don't even have to be a part of them to know that. So if I think the thumbnail needs to be red and my podcast may be So Stinks the Podcast needs to be blue, ultimately somebody needs to come to a compromise. And it can't always be my way or the highway. Otherwise, it's not a group channel. It's somebody's solo project with some reoccurring castmates. And if you're going to do that, gang, then I might as well stay on my own damn platform and do whatever I want to do. No, that's just the surface level stuff. There's also the fact that there's an accountability issue every time that Nina Lynn gets into some sort of scandal. Here's the truth about the internet. Creators can survive just about anything, any situation, any sorts of adversity, any bad problems, as long as they are self-aware about how they participated in that action. We've seen public mistakes, bad behavior, bad tweets, scandals, the list goes on and on and on. Hell, I even think it's a problem in today's society that we're so forgiving, but that's just the reality of what it is. But the problem is when faced with those things that I just mentioned, if you're arrogant and your ego is forthcoming in all of these situations, then you're not gonna have a bunch of fans who will support you going forward. And these are some of the criticisms of Nina Lynn as told by others. She dismisses backlash, she calls critics soft, she refuses to apologize, and oftentimes she doubles down in said behavior.
I be holding Ron accountable for shit, I be holding Adep accountable for shit, they be holding me accountable for shit. As a group, you gotta come together and hold each other accountable. And sometimes you're not always right, man, and selfish people in a group will never work out, man. Facts. You would never see me in a car with Jason Lewine. I get that. You beef with him too? No, he beef with me. I don't beef with him. Because everyone's bitch man. What do you want me to do? You bitch man, it is what it is, bro. Like, what do you want me to do? I can't lie.
Stuff like that is where the controversy stops being entertaining.
She's so insufferable.
Starts becoming exhausting. When you start to be known for things like that, then ultimately people are going to want to move away from you. They're not going to want to hang out with you. Not only because their community has issue with you, people don't like to continuously see these arrogant people, be content creators, etc., etc. Especially because a lot of these content creators are fan funded in the first place. Like the subscriptions and the watch time is all done by fans. Why would I want to watch somebody who is some sort of arrogant asshole? But also other content creators will move away from you because you're annoying and the fan perspective is just lost. You slowly start to burn those bridges over time. And then it becomes a sort of situation where people start to feel like they are guilty by association. And honestly, I think that that's a fair and valid criticism. I know that there's been some conversation about that this past weekend about hanging out with streamers who do controversial things as somebody who is a non-controversial streamer. But ultimately, people are going to start questioning who you align with as a content creator. If you're a controversial streamer and you keep going wild and you keep going crazy, somebody who is just a simple desktop reactor who is, pretty nonchalant and chill, is not going to want to be seen with you. Because if they are seen with you, audiences are going to start to speculate and question where your values lie. This conversation to me isn't about shoplifting or arguments or viral clips or, just the other outrageous and controversial things that people say. Everybody on the internet is not perfect. Hell, I do wild stuff, from time to time. But at the end of the day, if you can acknowledge where you mess up, apologize for the things that you say, and then look to grow afterwards, then I think that everybody's okay with you being a simple human being. But if you double and triple down on those things, gaslight people, and then ultimately shit on not only just your fan base, but the other fan bases around you, that's when people have a problem. Now, do I think that this is the end of Nina Lynn? Absolutely not. Maybe for videos on this channel, unless she does some of the most absolute insane shit in the world, then of course I'm gonna get it off. I got a wedding to pay for. But I think even greater than her losing a couple of different fans or the commentators POV where they're giving videos for Nina Lynn, I think she's losing something that is much more detrimental. That network that she had, the one that allowed her to go to these big and major events and be broadcasted to a much wider audience. Nina Lynn got something that people begged for, an opportunity, a chance, a platform, and a network that afforded her endless opportunities in this content creation field. And she squandered it because she couldn't take accountability for clear mistakes that she had done in her past. And I hope that this serves as some sort of lesson for any other content creators going forward. The internet is very, very, very forgiving, but you have to be willing to do something for that forgiveness and not be a dickhead and an asshole.
Yeah, she's ridiculous. I'm ready for her to be officially canceled and everybody to stop dealing with her. It looks like we're getting closer to that because she got kicked out of this group, which is crazy. How you get kicked out of the group this fast? I don't even know she was in the group, but to know that she already kicked out is wild. But it looks like everybody is just tired of her shit. She's a mess. Y'all let me know what y'all think though, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Bye.